Hi, welcome back to my channel. There's a lot of interesting things going on in the Cosmic Agency free chat on Telegram today. And I wanted to get into it with one of these subjects. And this subject is some of us aren't from this timeline. And when I say this timeline, I mean the Earth, the Taigetan information, the one we're all experiencing right now. Okay? I think there are members of Yazi's soul group that are just like Athena from a different timeline. And we're here incarnating. Maybe we walked in a few years ago. But this all seems to be kind of recent. Anyway, it all started off when I had a chat with Rich West yesterday, and I had a lot of memories coming up. I cried for a couple hours, remembering the battle and how I had to escape this timeline where it was bad. It was really bad. And I was really confused because I blocked out a lot of my memories. So I was looking for information from members in the free chat to see if I could get more information about Swaruus 1. So I posed these questions. I said, does anybody know anything about a war or a battle on Era during Swaruus 1's lifetime when she was a child? Or does anyone have any more information on Swaruus 1? Do we have any information on how Swaruus 1 got separated from her parents and how old she is or was when she got separated? Any help with these questions, I'll be eternally grateful. Now, I want to start off by saying, before we answer those questions, or before those questions that I posed to the group opened up a whole bunch of discussion between a few of the main members and administrators of the group, giving me information to fill in the gaps in my memory. And this was the ultimate goal for me, was to fill in these gaps in the memory so that I could share my side of the story from my point of view and my experience and my timeline, but better understand it so it fits into the whole picture. And Jupiter 9 came up with he's been just on fire today. He has been coming up with just amazing stuff. And he says, as Gosha says in the above quote, it's not only the Swaruus that have this kind of multi-lifetime, multi-timeline, cosmic adventures and sagas and stories, but it's all of us. We are all part of a similar complex epic soul journeys that span multiple lifetimes. So a lot of us probably are part of this epic Taigetan, Urmah, Charistus, multi-lifetime epic sagas, and it's not by accident that we resonate so much with this information. I was blown away at the insight and what Jupiter was saying right there. And I just wanted to also just make a point, there was just a random person, LM, who popped into the chat. I've never seen them before. And this is just a little bit related to, it has to do with another subject that people were talking about. She says, maybe I missed the videos. I'm curious how Mari is the next queen, as she was never part of this timeline prior to a few years ago. And she is Swaroonian instead of Taigetan. Can someone please point me in the direction? I just wanted to put that little comment in there from a random person outside, really, that I haven't seen in the group, not very active in the group, if I've never seen them in there before, asking questions about Mari, because Mari's from a different timeline. So that's what this subject and that's what this video is going to be about. So I posed the question, what about the war in Era? Because I remember a war, and I think it was on Era. My family was going on vacation. I'm not going to get into the details of it until all this stuff is verified deeper. But I'm very tied in with the Swaruus clan, you could say, the Sophia's Nexus Point soul group. As I'm noticing, a lot of other people in the chat are also part of this epic saga of multi-lifetimes. So from what I remember, there was a war on Era. Or we were being persecuted or something. All I know is that we were fleeing and we were escaping. And so I'm trying to fit together my memories of what's going on. So, Karthik says, they said there were no great wars in Taygeta. Things like that have never happened there. And I was wondering, okay, that didn't make any sense to me. And I was wondering why it didn't make any sense. But then we go on further. Swaruu's mother left her in a forest trying to protect her from a threat. There was a woman called Stella of Era, Taygetan woman that was in the immersion and came here as Estella, but was not really Stella. She only said she was. She lied. But there is a real Stella of Era, said by Gosha, and she is the daughter of Alanim. Stella's daughter was Swaruus. All of this confirmed by Gosha. So that means Stella went to the past and gave birth to Swaruus. This is how she is connected to Alanim. Okay? That was Karthik. Thank you, Karthik, for that. And then I said, what was the threat? And Namura asked, so Stella is the first mother of the first Swaruus? And I asked, what was the threat? And Karthik replies, it was said in the infiltration video, the only difference is that Stella's immersed Taygetan self was not really Stella. She only said she was. It was a lie, and she lied. And Namura responds, oh man, I do remember that video, but with so much going on, it's hard to remember everything. I totally agree with that. So in the response to what was the threat, here comes Jupiter 9 again with this very amazing comment with such good insight. And he says this, as far as I remember, it has never been mentioned. The only thing I vaguely remember being mentioned in one of the videos is they were escaping persecution. So it seems that Swaruu's mother, the daughter of Alanim in another timeline, not the daughter of Alanim of this timeline on board the Toleka. Okay? So it seems that Swaruu's mother, the daughter of Alanim in another timeline, was escaping from an alternate timeline where maybe Starlet and her co-conspirators managed to do more damage than they managed in this timeline, and where they managed to kill Alanim and a lot of Taygetans. But even there, I think it's unlikely that they won, and they only did a lot of damage in the battle. But this is just speculation on my part, he says, based on the tiny amount of details that have been shared about this. So, this is speculation, but this is part of the game. We're trying to figure it out with limited information. So most likely the war or the battle you were talking about, and he's referring to the battle that I remember from my memories, okay? He says, so most likely the war or battle you were talking about is in an alternate timeline and not in this one. And that's when I had a huge aha moment. And I was like, oh, that makes total sense. I'm from a different timeline, just like these Swaruus are. Duh. And he says, remember that, and this is Jupiter 9 coming with this amazing information. Remember that Athena and her mother come from a timeline where Gosha's dog Bongo is a boy. And also where the Taygetans and Swaruus left orbit because the situation that on Earth didn't go well. And in parentheses, he says, and so I assume that there was also no Yazi that arrived in the orbit of that alternate Earth. and also no Athena and Mari. Okay, so maybe that's why the timeline failed. I'm pretty certain that's why that timeline failed. There was no Yazi, there was no Athena, and there was no Mari. So I'm gathering that we're on the positive timeline because we have Yazi, we have Mari, we have Athena. Okay? And by the way, I have mentioned this before. Okay? This is also in parentheses from Jupiter 9. And by the way, I have mentioned this before. Since Alanim is the mother of Stella, and Stella is the mother of Swaru 1, in parentheses, in another timeline, in this timeline, Alanim hasn't had a daughter yet. That means that Mari is one of the same royal bloodline with Alanim. Although even people that are not from royal families can become king and queen if they prove worthy of the position, but it still is usually people from royal families that are appointed king and queen. So that answers part of your question, LM, as why Mari is set up to be queen. Okay. Now we have a comment from Gosha, and this is just, I think, paraphrased from Jupiter 9. This is in his comment. Gosha says in one of her videos, Yazi revealed that Esther, with the Taygetan name Stella of Era, had entered the Earth matrix from the Taygeta immersion. And after arriving there from the future line as a daughter of Alanim of Temur, from another line, to sum it up, supposedly her mission was to return in time and approach Alanim to warn her of the future disaster where Alanim and other Taygetans die. Okay, I hope you guys are getting a clearer picture of what's going on here. Okay, a lot of us are from this timeline. Okay, we escaped here to wherever this timeline is that we're in. It has to be some sort of nexus point because we're all these nexus point souls. You've got Mari, you've got Yazi, you have a bunch of these star seeds that are in immersion right now from all of these different races that are all nexus point souls. We're all part of Yazi's nexus point soul group. Okay, why are all the nexus points here in this timeline? Jack and Saya, probably Jupiter 9, Karthik. You guys are all nexus point starseed souls. Monica, all of you. Okay, why are so many nexus point souls here in this timeline? Okay. Okay, and Jupiter 9 goes on and says, on the other hand, since time is not as we think on Earth, events do not happen in a linear way, and the souls that are grouped to work together do that many times because they are linked. Yazi also revealed to her that Stella of Era, although she is from the future, also gives birth to a girl who later becomes known as Swaru 1. And yes, it sounds complex, but I remind you all that we all have these kind of stories. It's not something reserved only for certain people. We all have cosmic adventures, entanglements, loops, and what to the 3D human mind sounds like a mess. I definitely agree with him there. And he goes on to say, that's why, among other reasons, the Taygetans and Swaruus don't like to give out information about starseeds stellar identities. Because for what they have come to do on Earth with their mission, it usually doesn't concern them and it can be difficult to assimilate. And I am experiencing that right now. This is very difficult to assimilate because there's just so much action going on, but I love the action. Okay. So there's a link also that Jupiter 9 put in for the transcripts for the infiltration. Um, and then I thank them. I thank Jupiter 9 and Karthik for the information that they give me. And I respond this. Now it's starting to make a lot of sense because I have memories of that battle in the other timeline. I must have escaped with my family to this timeline as well. It was horrifying. I've been incarnating for a while, or at least I think I have. I may not have been incarnating for a while now that I think about it. But I'm incarnating here now to kind of heal some of that trauma of those memories. It says, that's why me and Sophia are playing so much in the astral for the same reason. Because we don't want to remember. I get it now. I wonder how many of you are part of this too. Okay. So we're all part of this multi-lifetime, multi-timeline cosmic adventure, which is just kind of a mess right now. All right. I also go on to say, you are literally reading my mind right now. Some of us are here working together to forget specific horrific events from the other timeline and also protecting this timeline from going into that direction. I'm starting to see the bigger picture here and how I fit into the mix. Everything that's been happening on the astral between me, Sophia, and the cosmic agency astral group that we have, okay, that Sophia and Mari are very involved with, I knew we weren't just making this shit up. Or it was not just some, some fabrication of my imagination or my subconscious personal reality. And I laughed at even ever doubting myself that that was the case. Nikola chimes in and says, wow, this is interesting. I look forward to the video if you will expand on this concept. I also have personal memories of battles too. Not sure if it's memories or fights in the astral during a sleep state, but as everything is happening simultaneously, it might be both. Timelines overlap. Okay? So you're involved in this too, Nikola. I tell you that right now. I think you know that. And same with Namura and Karthik and Jupiter 9 and Monica and Gosha and everybody in the astral group. You know who you are. We're all involved. We're all involved in this. Invibed. We're all invibed in it. I'm just making up words now. So Namura asks, okay, so we covered that. Is Stella is the first mother of Swaruus? Okay, boom. Okay, that they were escaping persecution. Already covered that. Battles in the ultimate. Just bear with me for 1 second. I'm going through the notes. I think I have some duplications here. That's why on the reasons. Thank you. Starting to make a lot of sense. Reading my mind. This is interesting. Okay. So, I hope you got all that, but that's a summary of this epic saga that is going on right now. And when, Sophia is saying, when